All right, we're back. That's some cheese, part of the Vendetta Sports Podcast Network today. I don't even know what today is. Just got up, basically. July 26th, 2023. Jarrod Prosser is here, and we're going to be going over NBA free agency, kind of doing a recap of good deals, bad deals, that kind of vibe. So, Jarrod, what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing okay, mate. As I said off air, it's been a bit of a rough day for me. I feel like I'm in a little bit of a belligerent mood. So hopefully, chatting with you, chatting to the Cheese family, that'll calm me down a little bit, bring me back from the ledge,
Okay.
make me zen, or it could send me the other way. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, if you talk about the Houston Rockets, maybe it'll send you the other way. So let's avoid that.
I, I'm actually surprisingly high on Houston's offseason. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, no,
Okay.
I am.
All
Now I
right.
do need
Well,
to ask before we get into it.
okay.
Have you taken off that Knights top that you're wearing? Have you taken that off since they won the cup?
Um, Not
Have you
really.
slept in it, showered in it?
I have not. I have not showered in it now, but I have worn it pretty much every day. I'm still celebrating the win. I'm taking it seriously.
Oh my! I tell you what, you got off that Boston bandwagon pretty quick.
I guess maybe they don't have an NBA team, so I'm still on the Celtics, even though. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into
Yeah,
it.
well, that's
You
yeah.
sent me a big list of topics. We each have an answer for all of these. So first one, best contract that was signed.
Yeah, look, there were two ways to look at this one. I looked at Cam Johnson, but I mean, look,
It was a lot of
prototypical
money for
high-end
me.
role. Well, I actually think that prototypical high-end role players at his size, that's a pretty good price.
Yeah,
But
but
ultimately, you can't go past Austin Reeves. 4 years, 54 million. That
I
is
was
a
surprised
bargain.
that nobody tried to bid them up.
Thank you. That is
I
negligent
was.
on behalf of the rest of the NBA. That is criminal that nobody threw out some 4 year $80 million, 4 year
I thought
$100
the Spurs
million
were going to do it.
deal. They would have been the perfect team to do it. Absolutely perfect team to do it. But here we are. The Lakers have absolutely like. I've got to admit, he's an excellent player, and he's proven to be a lot better than I gave him credit for. Austin Reeves. If you asked me halfway through the season, I would have said 4 years 54 was fair, maybe slightly even underpriced. 54 now, considering the way he closed the season and played in the playoffs. Holy hell, that's a giveaway. He's a
He's
$25 million player.
he's legitimately good.
Yeah, absolutely. To get him for, what's it worked out as? 13 and a half? That's larceny. That is ridiculous that they've gotten him that cheap. So shame on you, the rest of the NBA, for not making the Lakers pay up for someone that they absolutely needed to keep.
I would have
I
made
don't
him
get
pay
it.
up.
Yeah.
I
Even if
can't
the
believe the
agent has
Spurs
said,
didn't do it. The Spurs of all teams that they hate the Lakers. Popovich goes out of his way constantly to say that they're bending the rules, they're doing this, they're doing that, and he had the opportunity to do it and didn't.
and look, even if the agent, and I can only assume that nobody made an offer because the agent has come out and said, and from what I understand, Austin Reeves' agent is a small time player. He's only got like two or three NBA players on his books. So it's not like this is Rich Paul coming out and saying, hey, don't make an offer because then we'll shut you out of the rest of our market. But I can only assume the agent has said, look, he's going to stay with the Lakers no matter what. But go and put the offer out there. Make the,
Yeah.
nobble the Lakers, handicap the Lakers. You've left their salary cap, relatively open now. Just, I don't get it. I really
Kind of
don't.
like what Danny Ainge did with the Paul Reed contract. Hey, somebody's allowed to do that.
Yeah, it's it might be it might be a little bit dirty, but still you can do it. And if they decide and go, well, you know what, actually, we'll call you bluff. It's great. You've got yourself a good young player.
Yeah.
Where's the downside in it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
So
crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I was right. On my list, I had Reeves. I crossed it out thinking that you would put him. So we're off to a good start. I
Yeah.
listed a guy that you didn't think that I would or didn't think that you would go with. I picked Grant Williams.
Really?
Grant Williams, 4 for 53. He's going to make like $12 million next year. That's a reasonable price to me. I think it was a great signing for Dallas. He fits exactly what they need. They got a bunch of guys that can score. Hey, go out there and play some defense. Go out there and hit some open threes. He hits open threes. He plays defense, and he cares. Like during that playoff series against Miami, he's sticking his head in Jimmy Butler's face. The Mavericks are a team. Oh, they got Powder, Kyrie. We don't think Luka's willing to fight anybody. This is one rat dog that you got to have in your room. They got one. Congratulations.
Yeah,
they really didn't give up anything for him.
They gave up nothing for him.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he is a culture setter for that place. Because
talk about a place that needs a culture setter.
They are so soft, that team.
Yes.
As talented as they are, they're incredibly soft. But ultimately, you mentioned that the numbers, 4 years, 53. Reeves is 4 years, 54.
Yeah.
Who's better?
Well, I'm just saying, best contract. I thought you were going Reeves. I had it on my list. So
yeah,
we're just gonna. I didn't want to say the same answer
for the sake of difference. Yeah.
I thought the Grant Williams signing was perfect for them.
Yes. Yeah, and they got him at a fair number. You're absolutely right. Like 12 million is, or 12 and a half, or whatever it works out as. That's a good number to get him at. It's not a cheap number, but it's fair market value, and
he's going to get better. I think he's going to get better because he
should. He'll have more opportunities. I mean, as much as you've got two ball dominant guys in Kyrie and Luka, like you've got two ball dominant guys in Boston in Tatum and Brown. For all of their foibles, Luka and Kyrie are way better passers than Tatum and Brown will ever be.
Yep.
So as long as he can get himself into the corner, he will. Luka obviously is a savant passing the ball, but as long as he gets himself into the corner and he hits relatively open looks, he'll provide more offense than what a lot of the guys have had rotate through those roles.
By the way,
Reggie Bullock, for instance, Reggie Bullock seems to be hot through October, November, and then forgets how to shoot for 4 months. I'm massively, massively high on Josh Green as a two-way wing, but he's still, excuse the pun, very green. So Williams gives them someone who is ready now.
39.5% from three last year. Would you have guessed that number? Yeah. It's pretty good.
I probably would have said 36, 37. So he is a good shooter when he's wide open, and he does get wide open.
He'll be wide open.
But yeah, he's going to be a lot more wide open this season.
Yeah.
And he'll probably play more minutes as well because of the lack of overlap with the two stars. The two stars in Dallas are guards, so they don't overlap his position.
I mean, more than anything, they didn't just get Grant Williams. I like the guy they got out of Marquette, Omax. That's two big defenders that you're kind of plugging in there. So, hey, mission accomplished for me.
Yeah, they seem to be running the model of we've got our offensive centerpieces.
Yep.
Let's get a whole bunch of guys who can hit open trays and play, stout, balls to the wall defense. And it's probably right. I think it's actually the right way to go. We'll see how it plays out, considering Luka can be flaky and Kyrie. It's Kyrie. But I don't mind the model that they're running with at the moment, the Mavericks. I think it could work well.
Opposite end of the spectrum, we got worst deal.
Yeah.
Look, I have an answer, but I hope you don't take it because I think there's only one answer. Dillon Brooks, 4 for 80.
No.
Whoa.
Jeremy Grant, 5 for 160.
Yeah, but at least Jeremy Grant is scoring. He's good. I mean, Jeremy Grant's a good player. Where was Dillon Brooks going if he wasn't going to Houston? Who was your second highest bid there?
Oh, no, it is an overpay. And I will get to the Brooks thing because I do have some points on that one.
Okay.
Actually, we'll hit Brooks now because that was one of our categories later is biggest shock. And that was my biggest shock.
4 for 80.
That's the thing. It's not so much the per year dollars, especially because it's a descending contract. It is an overpay, but he is a culture setter on the floor. He is a brilliant, brilliant defensive player. And whilst all these Rockets are finding their offensive game, he will get a few more shots. The issue for me is the years. It's 4 years. There's no options or anything on it. He's a full guaranteed 4 years. In 4 years, if Brooks is still starting in Houston, then something has gone very, very wrong with either Amen Thompson or Tari Eason and all. So that's where the issue is for me. Brooks should not be a starter by year 3, maybe even year 2 of that deal. He's always been a player who plays brilliant defense, but believes he should be getting more shots than he does get.
Yeah.
And specifically self-created shots. Like if you just stand him in the corner or run him off a pick, okay, fine. But he wants to get the ball and dance with it. That's the issue. If all of these prodigious young talents that Houston have got work out, then Brooks shouldn't be taking more than about 8 shots a game in a 20 to 25 minute
Good luck telling him that
game roll off the bench. And to me, if you're paying him 21 and a bit million, 21 and a half a year in year 3 and year 4 as a 20 to 25 minute player, it's a monstrous overpay. And if he's still starting, then something even more dramatic has gone wrong, which is the young talent hasn't developed.
My question is, based on the way his season ended, where he pouted, he said all these things about LeBron, went into a coma, we thought he might have been playing for China. Like, if he wasn't going to Houston.
That was never happening. Who was
the guy that can defend that
well? Look, a guy that can defend that well and get you 12 to 15 points a game has a spot in the NBA as long as he wants it.
I'm not saying he doesn't have a spot in the NBA, but who else was bidding that?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't mind the dollar amount considering Houston needs to get people in now and they've got to hit that floor under the new CBA. But the 4 years was the shock for me. To me, that is at least 1, maybe even 2 years too long. I would have, if I was running the Rockets, if I was Raph Stone, I would have said 3 years, 3rd year is a team option. Take it or leave it. You're not getting better money than this.
I would have given him 1 year. 2 years.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. The 3rd year is the team option. Because if he becomes the good soldier, he's a good guy to have around. But
he's got no incentive to play his ass off now.
I don't think that's ever going to be an issue with Brooks. Playing hard has never, ever been an issue with him. Sometimes he bites off a lot more than he can chew.
That's the problem.
The LeBron thing that you mentioned. But I don't think Brooks will ever play anything less than 100% at both ends of the floor, for better or worse. So, so I've got him as my biggest shock.
I think the biggest problem, more than anything, is we're talking about a Houston team last year that didn't share the ball, that everybody thought they were the guy. Everybody on that team wanted theirs. They wanted theirs. Nobody's passing on that team. Now you add Brooks, a guy that, talk about a guy that doesn't want to pass, thinks he's better than he is, going to get his own shots, no matter how ugly they are. You're adding him to that team? Good luck.
But you look at who else they're adding to that team. They're adding Udoka, an adult in the room. As long as, if Ime Udoka ever says, hey, fellas, let's bring your wife to work day, call in sick. But every other part of a culture, Ime's great at setting up. And Fred VanVleet is the perfect point guard for this side for the next 2 or 3 years. My worst contract was actually Jeremy Grant. And I feel bad for saying it because it's definitely not Jeremy Grant's fault. And I'm loath to blame the Blazers for this either.
Didn't we say that about Jeremy Grant last time he signed a contract and he turned out to be worth it?
Yeah, but right now he's about to turn 30. I think this is what he is.
Yeah.
And, it's a player option on year 5. I think we can set it in stone right now that a 34-year-old Jeremy Grant is opting into that, what would be about 36 million in that 5th year in 2027.
Yep.
He's a good player, really good defender, really nice secondary scorer. But this deal on that money was very clearly signed before Damian Lillard said, no, I want out. This was a deal where Grant and his people knew they had the Blazers over a barrel, got every dollar they could, and then Lillard wanted out anyway. I would bet my children that this would not be Jeremy Grant's price if it was 24 hours after Lillard had spoken to Cronin and said, no, trade me.
I don't think you're wrong. I think it's a lot of money, obviously, but I do like the player. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so do I.
We've dogged this guy forever, and he's like been worth it and has gotten better and plays real defense and has scored. Like, he puts up points.
Yeah, look, I don't want to denigrate him. He's a really, really good player.
Yeah.
If Lillard stays on this team, then this is merely a slight overpay for a team that has delusions of grandeur. But now he's a massive overpay, an albatross of a contract that you're going to have to attach stuff to get rid of it on a team that is set for a full-on rebuild. So
In
this has
fairness-
gone from a positive asset for me to a very negative asset.
In fairness, if they get rid of Lillard, I mean, they're not really paying anybody else except for the Brad Nurkic contract is, I would argue, is maybe worse. Nurkic is bad.
Oh, no, it is. It is because Nurkic can't play anymore. So, and he's a relic from another era, and he's not athletic enough anymore after his injury.
He stinks.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to adapt. He hasn't been able to adapt with a bit of an outside shot like Valanciunas and then just pound the small ball centers. He hasn't been able to box out and pass like Stephen Adams. So he's
Our guy Hannafin
doesn't play defense like Jakob Poeltl. He doesn't do anything particularly well.
Our guy Hannafin was trying to craft Lillard trades to Miami, and he had Nurkic as part of the deal. I'm like, why the hell do you want Nurkic? Why would you want Nurkic?
Well, that way you could save giving your picks up because you'd have to attach at least one first rounder to get rid of that contract.
I guess. I guess. All right.
I do have one more worst contract here.
Okay.
2 years, $10.25 million. It's a player option on year 2. Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, he stinks.
Why?
I don't know.
Why? Why?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that one.
I'm 44 years old with fossilized knees, and I reckon I could come onto a court for a tenth of what Jackson pays and give 50% of the production. Denver, sign me.
He's negative production.
I'll save you on luxury tax.
He's negative production.
Yeah. I mean, so am I, but I'm negative production on less money.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I didn't get that either. Biggest shock. So you have Brooks.
I have Brooks, yeah.
So I'm just gonna take mine.
Go for it.
I guess I'm doing Porzingis. I didn't see that coming. I'll be honest. Like, I've wanted Porzingis on the team for a long time, and then Brad Stevens stuck a sword in my back by getting rid of Marcus Smart, and then Porzingis. He signed this extension that was actually kind of reasonable. I didn't see that coming either. He took a $17 million pay cut on what he could have signed for.
So this is a positive shock for you.
It's an all over the place shock. It's Marcus Smart's gone. We have Porzingis, and then Porzingis signed a team friendly contract.
Mm.
So yeah, talk to me because I'm all over the place.
Well, I got to admit, I'm not sure what to feel about this one because if what Porzingis showed in Washington last season is real, both in production and health, then he is on a really good deal. Like, he's on a positive value contract.
Absolutely.
If we go back to Dallas era where he just struggled to play off a ball dominant star, and he was missing 25 games a season every single season, minimum 25 games, then suddenly that contract looks a hell of a lot worse. So I guess it depends on whether last season was the new normal or last season was the outlier.
I'm a believer.
That will determine whether the contract is good or not.
I'm a Porzingis believer, and I think more than anything, the lack of production that this team has gotten out of their front court is what has killed them in the past. They now have a guy that's 7'3". He can hit his shots from the outside. He can play that 2-man game with Tatum and Brown. Like, when is the last time they've had a reliable pick and roll option that they can actually feed and the big guy's going to score? Because Horford has never been doing that.
I've never been a huge fan of Porzingis's pick and roll game, but he's a better pick and pop option than Horford. And he is at this stage of their respective careers, he is a defensive upgrade on Horford because
Absolutely.
Horford traditionally is a much better defender, but Horford's also about 146 years old.
Yep.
So he's not stopping anyone, right? Like Horford's shadow is running away from him as we speak. So Porzingis, if he can stay healthy, this is going to be a really, really good signing. He can give you, he certainly can't switch the way that Time Lord does, but he can protect the rim. He can rebound reasonably well. But Time Lord is a liability on offense. Horford, at this stage of his career, unless his three ball is falling, is a liability on offense as well, and is struggling on D. So this is the legitimate two-way center that this team has needed, as long as he stays healthy, as long as that production from last season is replicated. Or
he's gotten better defensively too. I think his body's a little bit thicker.
Yeah, he's definitely gotten stronger in the bottom half of his body since his, I suppose, late days as a Knick. He's still not there are plenty of blokes who can move him on the post or stop him from moving them when he's got the ball, but he's better than he used to be for sure.
And this team stinks at rebounding. And I mean, he's not the greatest rebound either, but he's at least big. And 8.4 rebounds last year. We'll take that.
Yeah. And then that's decent. It's not great, what you'd expect out of a 7'3" bloke, but it's decent. It's something.
It's better than what.
And when you throw in all the other stuff he provides, yeah, fair enough. You can live with that.
I'm just very upset that Marcus Smart's gone. That's all. Malcolm Brogdon.
Derek White.
4 hours, Malcolm Brogdon was out of my life for 4 hours, and then it's still stuck with him. So,
look, there's a lot more White, a lot more Peyton Pritchard.
That I'm happy about because forever Derek White has needed more minutes.
Yeah, White's legitimately good. Again, on the condition that his three ball is falling, he's legitimately good. But even if it's not, he's a really good connective tissue type, and he's just awesome on D. He's brilliant on D. To be honest, I think he's better. I think he's better than Smart on D now.
Yes.
Sorry?
How many blocks a game does that guy get as a guard?
Yeah, I know. It's different to Dwayne Wade in that Wade used to get it off, strength and athleticism rather than timing. But yeah, he's a Wade level, not necessarily a rim deterrent, but deterrent on shots.
All right, best minimum.
Man, I really agonized over this one between Josh Richardson in Miami, Malik Beasley at Milwaukee, and Eric Gordon in Phoenix. Did you have any of those three for yours?
I listed Suns.
Yeah, I went with Eric Gordon. I went with Eric Gordon for this one. Okay. It's a 2-year minimum, player option on the second, but this is on the assumption that at age 34 he has something left. If he does, he is the ideal fifth closer for this Suns outfit. Spread the floor, attack a hard closeout, play make a little. He can defend, reasonably well on guards, but he can defend up the spectrum as well. If he's got something left, then for me, he's the best minimum deal of this free agency season.
I just listed Suns because they had about 6 of them, and I like pretty much all of them.
I do have another Sun listed for another one later.
Okay. I mean, we can talk about all of them, but I think maybe my favorite one was Keita Bates-Diop.
Thank you. That's the one I'm going to mention later.
Well, go ahead.
All right. So
yeah, I
had Diop on my best signing that nobody is talking about.
Okay.
Here we are disproving that, but
I don't think. I mean, Trey is a little bit of a different brain than the normal person.
Yeah, look, it hasn't been a mainstream signing, put it that way. If Gordon doesn't have anything left, then Bates-Diop is the fifth closer for this side for me. He can do just enough shooting the ball and attacking closeouts. He's not great at it, but he's not a liability either. And he's extremely versatile on defense. He's dogged, and he will make things easier for the Suns' big 3.5.
Good length, too.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I mean by the versatility. He can defend down the spectrum if you've got a jitterbug guard that Booker and Beal can't stay in front of. If you don't want Durant to be dealing with a a big, powerful player inside, give him the job. He can do the job. I think he's an excellent signing. 2 years, $5 million, fully guaranteed. That could be an absolute bargain.
Where do I sign for that one?
Yeah. Oh, no, I love that signing.
I want to run through a couple of the other ones that the Suns did. You might make fun of me for this. I legitimately think Watanabe's good. I know. Listen, all he does is shoot threes, but he makes almost all of them.
If the shooting maintains, then absolutely. He won't shoot the way he did in Brooklyn last season. That's unsustainable. But if he can get 80% of that production,
he makes all of them.
He's a good signing at the minimum. He's a really good signing. And look, if nothing else, he's worth a flyer. A guy that size who shoots well, even if he doesn't shoot Brooklyn well, on the minimum, take a flyer on him. See what happens.
I like Ball too.
Did you see Gilbert Arenas' comments about Ball?
No, I didn't.
He compared him. What did he compare him to? The pretty girl with the bad attitude. You see her at the nightclub and you go, "Oh wow, she's amazing." And then when you talk to her, you go, "Nah, not for me." He's got all the talent in the world, but never puts it together. He compared it to the pretty girl with the bad attitude. I thought that's perfect Gilbert Arenas right there.
I mean, last year you're talking Jock Landale. Can he be better than that? His pure ceiling. His pure ceiling should be.
He could be better than that.
Yeah.
But the question is, will he be better than that?
I hope so.
Oh, the Suns certainly hope so. Because the one thing with Landale is that you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get rugged defense, smart play, and the occasional three. That's what you're going to get out of Landale. And Bol's ceiling is way higher than Landale's, but his floor is a lot deeper.
I don't think Drew Eubanks is that bad either.
Yeah, I like Eubanks. He's a good fourth big. I've always liked him.
So
he's never going to be a starter on a decent team or even a mediocre team, really. But I think he's worth a rotation piece. He's not bad.
I think the Suns accomplished their goal using only vet minimum signings. Their bench is significantly better.
Yeah, they have. They've gotten some buyouts. They've gotten a ring chaser in Gordon. They've hit all of the bases of minimum guys. But yeah, I actually think they've done a really good job this offseason. I mentioned Malik Beasley, Josh Richardson. What are your thoughts on those?
I love the Beasley signing, and I was pissed when it happened.
I love it for Milwaukee. Absolutely,
it's so upsetting. He's not going to shoot as bad as he did with the Lakers. There's just no way.
No, he won't. He absolutely won't. He is one of the very best movement shooters in the NBA. His percentages, if you just go to his basketball reference or something, and you look at his percentages, you go, "Oh, he's all right." But when you watch him, the difficulty of the shots that he takes is incredible. He very, very rarely stands in the corner and catches and shoots. He's always running off this pin down or that flare. He's constantly on the move. Every shot is difficult.
Well, now you're giving him to Milwaukee, where it's the Giannis freight train coming at you. Oh, wait,
Giannis, or Middleton, or Holiday. You're giving him. Even Lopez is a good playmaker. You're giving him plenty of good playmakers around him. Yeah, I loved that signing, and it's got the added bonus of less Grayson Allen.
Yes, I'm a Duke fan, and I think Grayson Allen's bad. So that should tell you everything that you need to know.
Yeah. Yep.
I had Malik Beasley listed in a different column, even though it's the minimum column. So that takes care of one of my answers. I thought that was an incredible deal. So I listed him under best value because he technically had a team option for $15.5 million.
Yes. Yeah, he did. He did. I can't argue with that under best value. I mean, I've got a couple on there, but that's a good spot to put him as well.
Best exception signing, I went with a little bit of an oddball answer. So I'm curious to see if you have the right answer here.
The right answer. Okay. I was close to taking DiVincenzo.
That's who I picked.
But I came close to. Well, we'll cover him first, because he's almost a 1B for mine on this one.
Well, first and foremost, I really like the Villanova connection that they got going on there. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart is good. Josh Hart is good.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't.
an eye test guy.
Is there maybe you have a better answer in your head, but is there a better rebounding guard than him?
Well, I mean, you'd probably go towards maybe Luka. I don't know.
Okay.
That's probably the only one I can think of off the top of my head. I'm
Josh
sure
Hart
there's someone
good.
else. Westbrook in his prime, but that's about it.
Ugh.
I have to get a Westbrook mention in every time I'm on a pod with you just to see that face.
DiVincenzo, you're going to add him to that mix? I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
He can
my
score.
worry.
He can shoot threes. He can ball handle a little bit. I mean, and you're not going to ask him to do that much. Like, it's not like, hey, DiVincenzo, go out and get your 30 shots.
He's the perfect. Yeah, he's the perfect, like, Bill Simmons always talks about the guys who take stuff off the table. DiVincenzo is a B grade at everything. He takes nothing off the table, but he's not elite at anything. My only concern is that at some random game, in mid-December, he'll make 2 consecutive bad plays on defense and Tibbs will bury him for 6 weeks. That's my only worry.
Could happen. But, I mean, they got the Nova guys in the locker room to where hopefully it doesn't happen.
I don't care about your Villanova connections. There you go. That's my Tibbs.
So who'd you pick?
I went with Javon Carter.
Oh.
Okay.
Look,
3 years, player option.
He's a little bit of a rat. So I appreciate that part of it.
Sorry?
He is a little bit of a rat, so I appreciate his mentality.
Oh, yeah. Properly dogged defender. Yeah. Like, he would be a nightmare to try and bring a ball up against. Now, this is... I went with him on the assumption that the shooting last year was real. Because he's been a below-average shooter, and then all of a sudden he spiked. Now, if that turns out to be a fluke, this is going to look like a really dumbass,
That's what I worry about. That's what I worry about.
Yeah, but I'm going to take the leap of faith that the shooting is what he did last year is at least, close to real. He is
old guy pride.
He's a brilliant defender. And that shooting makes him a viable off-ball threat around, and I use this term loosely, Chicago's big three. He's also nice insurance for Kobe White, who I'm going to mention later as well, if White's not ready to be a full-time point guard.
I thought you were going to say insurance for Lonzo Ball, because that's...
mate. The only insurance at Lonzo Ball is actual insurance, the payout when he retires at the end of this year.
Yeah.
It's so sad. It is so sad because he's such a fun player to watch. And as a guy who's, fair enough, my basketball career was much lower level than what in the NBA, but I was done by the time I was 20 because of my knees. So I really empathize with people.
I legitimately think he's good too. Like he's come a long way. Like since his Laker days.
Yeah.
He was good.
Improved as a shooter. He's always been a brilliant passer, but he's much better defensively. Yep. His pace setting, his pace control is excellent. The shooting improved, rebounding improved. If he was healthy, he'd be one of those guys we could put into best rebounding guards. But I just hate it when I see a bloke go out with injuries, especially knees. But I think Lonzo might be done. It feels horrible to say that. But because of that, I think Javon Carter at $6 million a year, $6.5 a year, I think that's a really, really nice signing.
Best immediate impact, you might give me like a weird face when I say mine, so I'm curious to what you have.
For me, this was like a very simple one. This is probably the easiest one outside of Austin Reeves. And for me, it's Fred VanVleet. Massive overpay, but the immediate impact on that team of having, like, as we mentioned, Ime Udoka is now the adult in the locker room. Fred VanVleet is the adult on the court. He will organize that team. He'll put Kevin Porter back into his rightful role as a microwave sixth man. He will get that team organized. And long term, I think that Thompson, if he works out, will actually be the point guard / point forward, but he'll be the primary playmaker for that team. But I just think VanVleet, yes, it's a lot of money, but he's the perfect signing for that team for where they are.
I agree. Well, he's not my answer, but I agree with what you said.
Mm.
It's a lot of money. It's probably way too much money.
Yes.
But given where the Rockets are, they had money to burn. That's a point guard that you need. He's going to put up points. He's going to organize the team. I like it.
And he'll play defense.
Yeah. And I've been a fan of him since he was at Wichita State.
Yeah, I remember years ago, like this might have been a pod we did maybe in like COVID days or even pre-COVID days. You were big on him back then.
Mm-hmm. And he didn't get drafted.
Yeah, it might have been just after they won the title. You were already big on him. I remember that in a pod that we did.
Mine is kind of a cheat answer, but I think it's the right answer. And it may only be a short-term thing, but that's okay. My answer is Bradley Beal. Talk about immediate impact. I don't care what Beal does next year. He is 1,000 times better than current day Chris Paul. That's the way that I think people should look at it.
Yeah, look, I get the impact bit, and I also get the cheating bit because he was a trade, not a free agent signing.
Yes.
But look, as far as instant impact, I would still say that Van Vliet will have a bigger impact on Houston than Beal will on Phoenix, simply because of the players that are around him on Phoenix already. But yeah, he will have a big impact on that side. I think he's going to have, like, think back to what he was next to prime John Wall, where he was just flying off screens, knocking down threes for fun, and creating against inferior defenders. He looked like a world beater. So I think we're going to get that Brad Beal.
I think one of his underrated traits is the ability to get to the rim. He does attack the rim. Absolutely. He absolutely attacks the rim. He can hit open shots. And again, more than anything, what did Chris Paul give you last year? That's the guy he's replacing. Chris Paul, he's the least reliable player at this point. Like, I'm a big Chris Paul fan. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's one of the best point guards ever. But this Chris Paul, he's
he is one of the best 4 or 5 point guards ever to play.
Yes.
But he's also 38 and he's had knee issues since he was 25. He's almost a lock at this point to be injured in March, April, or May.
And let's even go back to last year. Last year, this Suns team took Denver to 6. They actually gave them the best fight of any of the teams. If we really think about it, that's a team that didn't have Chris Paul for almost like the entire series. You're adding Beal in there, and now you're adding all these minimum signings. I don't know.
Potentially you're adding a motivated DeAndre Ayton too. He's gotten away from Monty.
I hope so.
Yeah, so do I. Because look, that relationship had clearly broken down, and maybe DeAndre Ayton isn't the most resilient cat going around. But, Frank Vogel turns I've forgotten his name, the big dude, Roy Hibbert. He turned Roy Hibbert into something.
Yes.
Roy Hibbert wasn't.
Monty Williams clearly hated him too.
Look, Monty Williams hated Ayton. But yeah. I look at what Frank Vogel, who is such an underrated coach, I look at, outside of his time with...
I wanted the Celtics to hire him.
Oh, he would have been a great coach. He is a great coach. But Roy Hibbert, when he wasn't coached by Frank Vogel, was Mel Turpin. And when he was an all-NBA center.
He was the LeBron James stopper. Do you remember that? He was the LeBron James stopper. He
was the everyone stopper. Like, you went to the rim, you couldn't see the rim. You just saw these 2 huge arms in front of you. Fair enough, the term wasn't invented for Roy Hibbert, but the term verticality was popularized by people watching Hibbert play.
I just think, I'll say it 1,000 times, I don't think we're properly valuing what Chris Paul was, and you're replacing that with Beal. How big of an upgrade that's going to be.
It's a huge upgrade because people look at Chris Paul and still assume it's not necessarily a 28-year-old Chris Paul, but a 33 or a 35-year-old Chris Paul.
Wrong.
He's 38.
Yeah.
He is a shadow of what he used to be. And I'm really interested to see how he fits in on this Warriors side. There was a press conference, I can't remember when it was fairly recent, when someone said to Chris Paul, so how do you feel about coming off the bench? And Chris Paul, being a snippy, salty bastard, turned around and said, are you the coach? we're going to sort that out later. I didn't realize you were coaching the side. Yeah, of course, every answer with him has to be smart-arsey. But I can't see how Chris Paul starts for Golden State.
More than anything, he needs to adapt how they play because how he plays is not anywhere close to how they play.
No. There's no ball monopolizing on Steve Kerr's Warriors.
Good luck.
Nah, not happening. And
Good
Jordan
luck.
Poole tried that, and he's a wizard now.
And it would be one thing if he was adapting at 32. I don't know how he's going to hold up.
Yeah, I don't either. And he's not one to move off the ball either.
Nope.
He's always been the orchestrator in the pick and roll or a catch and shoot guy. And, this is a team where if you're standing still and you don't have the ball, you're going to come off.
Good luck.
So I'm not sure how it's going to go.
Me neither. So I thought Beasley he's technically a minimum guy, but based on the team option that he had for 15.5, I put him as my value. Who do you have as your best value?
I looked at the best value signings as non-minimum guys because clearly a really good player on a minimum is going to be value. So I couldn't decide between these two. I mentioned Kobe White before. 3 years, 36. If he can develop into that starting point guard with Lonzo out, then that is a giveaway. A good starting point guard, explosive, can shoot the ball. He's not a point guard in the traditional sense. He's a modern point guard, that scoring point guard. But you've got playmakers around him where he can play off the ball.
I don't know. I viewed him as a restricted guy that's staying on with the team. So
I looked at that price and thought if he develops and he's got a clear runway to the starting job now without Lonzo there, because God bless Dosunmu, good player, but he's not a point guard. And Javon Carter, I mentioned him before, good player, but is the shooting real? And he's also a veteran. He's not your future. 3 years, 36 could look like an absolute steal in 18 months. The other one I mentioned, and it's along similar lines, is Trey Jones, 2 years, 19 for the Spurs. For the years and the dollars, he is a very, very worthy gamble to see if he can be the point guard for the beginning of Wembanyama's prime. He might be destined to replicate his big brother, Tyus, and just be one of those very, very good backups who can't start in a good team. But even still, that's good money for a backup point guard.
If he's Tyus Jones, you should throw a parade for that contract.
Yeah, absolutely. If he doesn't develop as a starter, you've still got a positive contract. If he does, you've got an absolute giveaway of a contract.
So I kind of cheated again for
Stop cheating, Trey.
Yeah. For what was it, right? The best signing nobody's talking about comment. I put John Collins. Nobody's going to talk about John Collins.
Maybe it's because I'm a Utah fan, but I have been looking at a lot of that stuff, so I'm probably the wrong person to judge on this.
Well,
and it's a trade, you cheating bastard.
Well, it's you being a Utah fan is like 10% of the reason why I put him on the list to counteract the cheating. It's because I kind of wanted to hear what your thoughts were anyway. I don't know. John Collins for free sounds pretty nice to me. And that's the kind of deal. I've been watching Danny Ainge forever. He's going to have a good year. Give it 18 months. He'll cash that chip in, throw a couple of his draft picks that he's been hoarding. That's going to turn into a big player.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right out of the Ainge playbook, isn't it?
That
was one of my first thoughts. But you can only... And clearly Collins was affected by... Was it a thumb or a hand or something like that? But he was affected by injury on his shooting hand last season. And
more than anything, there's 800 guys in that Hawks front court.
Yeah, and, Trae Young will pass when he has to, which is a shame because he's an absolutely wonderful passer.
Yeah.
And DeJounte Murray has gotten a little bit ahead of himself sometimes as well, preferring his own shot to setting up. So, I think he will be a lot better this season than last. The one thing that worries me about that, though, is that Utah don't have a lot of playmaking. They've gotten rid of all of their playmaking guards over the last, year and a bit. Your starting guards are going to come out of Jordan Clarkson. None of those three are renowned for moving the rock.
I don't know.
So that's what worries me, that he's not actually going to see the ball on the move a lot. He's going to have to create for himself, and that's where he's not great.
For a second-round pick, I'll take the gamble.
Oh, it's a worthy gamble, yeah. Absolutely worthy gamble. I mean, 25? Yeah, a guy who's that talented, a potential 18 and 10 guy who's 25 for a second-round pick and the fossilized remains of Rudy Gay.
Yeah.
You do it in a heartbeat. It's not even a question.
I just want people to remember that trade, and maybe a year passes, 2 years passes. That's gonna be cashed in for something.
Oh yeah. That's what Angel do. He goes star hunting. We know that. So he's going to. There'll be a lot of those sort of guys. Like Sexton will be another one. If he has a good season, he'll be cashed in within the next 18 months as well. Clarkson as well, potentially. So there's plenty of guys who won't be on Utah's next playoff team that are there right now.
I cheated on that one, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts on John Collins. So
yeah. No, I like the trade. I love the trade.
And nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about that one.
Certainly not in free agency.
Who did you put?
That was where I had Bates-Diop.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have one more on here, and I think he's like the only good free agent left, and that's Christian Wood, even though he's a knucklehead.
I went with Kelly Oubre.
Okay. Fair enough.
So go with Wood, because I've been a Christian Wood fan since his draft year. I thought he'd go sort of probably mid-20s in that draft. I was shocked when he didn't get picked.
I'm not really a Christian Wood fan. I think he's a knucklehead, but at this point, it looks like he's going to sign for the minimum. And if you're getting that guy for the minimum who's scoring, he's going to score 16, 17 points a game, give you 7, 8 rebounds a game. He's not like a liability passing the ball. I don't know. I think he can help somebody.
If he ever learns to play defense, like even just any defense, like a Skerrick of defense, then he's a very, very good player. But right now, everything he gives you, and he can attack the rim. He's a perfect guy as a pick and roll or a pick and pop. He's a wonderful threat as the screener in a two-man game.
6'10".
As you said, he can play make reasonably well. He can handle the ball very well for a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
Shoots it, but my God, to him, defense is the thing out the front of the house. He does not stop anyone doing anything at the other end.
He's going to have to sign for the minimum, right? Like who's got money left?
Oh yeah, at this point, absolutely. There's still some exceptions lying around that teams have, but surely if those teams wanted him, they would have grabbed him by now.
So, in terms of like best guy left,
well, let's play the parlor game. Where is a good spot for Christian Wood to end up?
Lakers.
Ooh, I like that. I do. I like that a lot, actually.
He could be off the bench guy. Vanderbilt's next to him.
Yeah, you pair him up in the Vando minutes. That's a really good call. I like that a lot.
Sometimes I have good ideas.
Yeah, and they've saved all that money on Reeves, so they can afford him. I went with Oubre, and I feel that he's not going back to Charlotte, given Miles Bridges is back there.
You love Miles Bridges.
Well, I like the player, Miles Bridges. The personality, not so much.
Yeah. He fits right in with Charlotte.
Yeah, let's just separate the player and the man for a moment with Miles Bridges.
Yeah.
Look, with Oubre, he's never struck me as the most cerebral of players, but given his skills and his athletic gifts, I would love to see Denver take a flyer on him. I just think if you just tell him, shoot the ball and cut, and we will find you. He's nowhere near as smart a player as Bruce Brown.
Yeah.
But he's a good defender. He's a better shooter than Brown. And he's clearly a bigger body. He's nowhere near the playmaker that Brown is. But I would love to see him coming off the bench as a 3 or a 4 for that side.
I like that call. And, more than anything, it's like the 20% rule with Jokic. Like, everybody that drops in his lap is 20% better. So,
yeah.
20%
You tell
better.
a guy who can cut well and is athletic that he's playing next to Nikola Jokic, Oubre's going to have if he signs in Denver, he'll have 5 dunk of the month candidates, through the season.
Him
gets up
in Denver would be that would. I mean, he's way better than Reggie Jackson. So whatever money they gave to Reggie Jackson, maybe retract that and give to Oubre.
Oh my! I can't believe they're paying that sort of money to their third string point guard. Just crazy. I don't get it. There has to be. I don't know who his agent is, but I'd love to see who else that agent has on his books to see whether they sign with Denver in 12 months.
I don't know. Hey, DeAndre Jordan has a ring.
He does too. I'd actually forgotten he was on the Tide. Actually, we talked about the adults in the room for Houston. Jeff Green, Uncle Jeff. Another one going to Houston to try and sort the crash out.
Well, he was Denver's backup center basically in the playoffs. Who's that going to be now?
Thomas Bryant, I suppose. And look, Thomas Bryant, fine in the regular season.
Did Thomas Bryant go back there?
He was signed somewhere. He was traded there.
No, I think he signed.
I don't know whether he's re-signed.
Yeah, he signed with Miami. He's on Miami.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I missed that one.
I knew he signed somewhere. I couldn't think of where it was. Yes, I guess Zeke Naji is their backup center, which hopefully.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. And I like that. I'm a fan of Zeke Naji. I think he's a good defender, can hit the three. He's a little undersized.
He's got to be ready.
Well, he's shown it in flashes. It's just whether Malone trusts his defense. He's switchable, definitely switchable. But, I suppose they've got to give him an extended run now.
Yep.
So, yeah. But no, I love your call of... it's just too obvious a call going to the Lakers.
We'll see.
Way too obvious a call. Yeah. Well, that covers all that free agency stuff that we had.
Yeah, you got anything else? You good?
I think we should give a little bit of a shout out to Bronny James. That news is
terrible.
Fucking horrible. Absolutely horrible. Look, I'm not a thoughts and prayers type of guy, but
me neither.
Whatever good vibes we can send towards the James family. A family that is doing pretty well for themselves in most facets, but it's something like this that puts everything else into perspective. You can have all the billions in the world, but billions of dollars don't save a life. So I'm glad that Bronny's out of ICU and he appears that he will be okay. This is the sort of thing that killed Reggie Lewis, that killed Hank Gathers. So it sounds like he's dodged a bullet and he'll be able to get treated, and hopefully he'll be able to resume his basketball career. Hopefully it's not too dangerous for him to do that. But also want to send out a little bit of a brickbat to Elon Musk, who straight away came out and said, oh, it might be the vaccine. We can't say it's not the vaccine, but we can't say it is. Fuck you, you South African arsehole who's only ever famous because your dad made billions out of apartheid. Fuck off and fuck off until you get all the way around the world, until you're back here, and then you can fuck off again. That's my rant. Fuck you, Elon Musk.
You really were in a bad mood today. You weren't lying.
Oh, no. I was not lying. But seriously, the first thing Elon Musk does, an 18-year-old kid potentially dies, and he makes a thinly veiled, I'm just asking questions, political statement. No, fuck off. Absolutely fuck off.
Well, he speaking of free agency, he kind of ruined free agency, and the rate limit exceeded. I couldn't even see tweets going up. Remember that?
Mate, I can't even get into my Twitter account. I haven't been able to get into it for 3 weeks. And I know they're not listening because they're bots, but if Twitter support are listening, you can fuck off too. Useless. Absolutely useless. Could not organize.
They're X's now. They've rebranded.
Oh, sorry. Yes. X support.
I think that's a good place. It's a good place to wrap it up before you get any more anger out.
I've got my boxing gloves here. I'm going to go and start punching stuff now.
Okay. All right. That's Jarrod Prosser. Make sure to, follow him if he gets back into his account.
Follow me on Twitter. It doesn't work.
All right. Let's skip that part. Make sure to read Jarrod's columns on the site, vendettasportsmedia.com. You can go to the author page, read his stuff. Drops an NBA column here and there. I think his last one was on Wembanyama in the Summer League, if I remember correctly.
On the Summer League stuff.
Which I read that one. It was a good one, so make sure to do that.
I've got some stuff coming out on James Harden shortly and his magical winding road of a career and where we've ended up with him now.
There you go. Look forward to that. I guess I'm not locked out of my account, so if you want to follow me, you can. That is Trey Daubert. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. The more subs we get helps us out. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back eventually. Do another NBA show before the season starts in a couple of months here. That's going to do it. Thank you guys for watching That's and Cheese, and we'll see you next time.